Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there. Hello everyone, this is Alonzo. Want to know how to get your first cloud job? Then please register for our webinar. We'll teach you everything that you need to know and answer your questions along the way. Hope to see you there.
My name is Richard Ferrer, and I can say I am cloud hired.
That yes, come and join and get cloud hired. I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
Hey, GovCloud Architect family, I'm cloud hired.
So I'm cloud hired, guys.
So I'll just say I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired.
I'm cloud hired thanks to GovCloud Architects.
It worked for me, and now I'm cloud hired.
Because of GovCloud Architect program, I am cloud hired. See!
I am cloud hired. Thank you, Mike and the GovCloud team.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Michael Gibbs, and I'm the founder and CEO of GovCloud Careers. And we're here today to help you in your cloud computing career. Maybe you desire to be a cloud architect versus a cloud engineer. Maybe you desire to be a network engineer. Maybe you desire to be a network architect or an enterprise architect. That's why we're here, to help guide you so you can get your best career at the highest earnings at the shortest period of time possible. As I mentioned, my name is Mike Gibbs. I'm the founder and CEO of GovCloud Careers, and I've been in tech for nearly 30 years now. And for the last 20 plus years, I've been helping other people get their first tech job, get promoted in tech, negotiate raises, and truly change their lives. So I like to come here once a week to help answer your questions. I was very fortunate in my career. I got my first job, which was a senior network engineer, and I wanted to be a network architect. And I went to the VP of engineering and architecture in those days. His name was Dan. And I said, Dan, what would you like in the perfect network architect? And he gave me a list and I wrote it down. Now, the funny thing was, when Dan gave me that list, it was the exact opposite of what everybody else had told me. Everyone else told me all this engineering stuff and the million certifications. And when I spoke to this VP of architecture, what he said is, Mike, I don't care about anybody's certifications. I don't care about how they're hands-on. I don't care about this. I want to know, can you connect to the client? Can you lead the client? Can you lead a team around here? Can you solve customer problems with technology? Can you present to a CXO audience, meaning the CEO, CFO, CTO? Can you do these things? And I said, not yet, but I'll learn. 6 months later, I did. Got my first network architect job. It doubled my pay 20 some years ago, and it's been the best experience ever. So come and ask your questions. And don't be shy. Ask your questions. We want to help you. I see 1 or 2 questions are already starting, and I'm going to go into them in a minute. Before I do, I'm going to let you know, we currently have 40% off of all of our programs for Cyber Monday and Cyber Week. Whether it's our live cloud architect program, our non-live cloud architect program, our elite program, our tech leadership program, our interview programs, we're absolutely there. So take advantage of that. Also, tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to have a How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar, and we will cover the entire role, the entire job, and everything you need to do to get hired. So come tonight. It's free. It'll be on Zoom. We can have a face-to-face conversation. If you want to assess your readiness, you can do that, and they'll be there. Now, after that, there's also a document where you wrote. Our team wrote you a free ebook on how to get your first cloud architect job. So ask us those questions, and you'll be in great shape. Download that free book, and it'll tell you every skill you need to know. So ask us your questions, and we can help you. So, Chris, we can go to the first question, but please don't be shy out there. Usually what happens is the following. Everybody waits until we say we're ready to close, and then they're there. I do one-on-one consultations for people that desire them. There's a 23-week wait at $1,200 an hour, and I don't want anybody to have to pay for that. People demand that of me, and I'm happy to do it. But I'm here. I'm free. So ask your questions so we can help you. Let's bring in the first question. Athera, can I tell you about cloud architecture? I can tell you a lot about cloud architecture, but I would like to know what you mean by that. So let's first talk about cloud architecture, and then I'll get to your second question, which is certification. So what is cloud architecture? Cloud architecture, Athera, is not engineering. It's architecture. And here's the difference. As an architect, companies hire you to design a technology solution to improve their business problems. I'm going to say this again. They hire us as architects to design a solution for them, inclusive of the best technology in the world, to optimize the company's business performance. Which means this is not a technology, this is not an engineering role. This is not a job where certifications matter to employers. You can have every architecture certification in the world and no employer will ever think to hire you unless you're training as an architect. And I'm going to talk about that. So the architect designs a solution to improve a customer's business performance. What does that really mean? It means starting out with the chief executive officer, if you have access, if not the CIO, and asking them about the goals of their business. Where do you want the business to be now, next year, 5 years from now, and even 20 and 50 years from now, depending upon the organization? Because the architecture that you put in place is like the roads in a city. If you think the city is going to have 10 million people in it, you're going to need better roads than you would if it only is going to have 500,000 people. So we'll talk about that. So keep that in the back of your mind. So we have to understand the goals. Now, once we understand the goals, we have to map out and learn how the business operates today. And how does the business operate today? Meaning, how does sales occur? How was the product delivered? What's the supply chain look like? How do the employees get the job done to build whatever's there? So that's the next piece. We have to, after we figure out the vision for the business, we have to look at the architecture of the business. And then we have to work with the clients at the executive level and say, how do you want the architecture to be in the future? Meaning, how do you want to sell? How do you want to create? How do you want to build your products? So kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Next, the key here is we have to evaluate their current data and their current technology. And then we have to figure out, how do we get that client to their business vision? Business vision. So we have to work backwards and say, here's the goals, what technology is going to get you there. Kind of like if you had to travel. You'd say, should I take a plane, a train, or an automobile? And it's really kind of the same thing from there. Now, once we have this information, now we go back to our companies and we build a design team. And the design team will design the product to us. Then at Thara, what we do is we design the solution, we document the solution in a beautiful Word document, which explains how every part of the system works. We create a document of graphics, or the graphics team creates graphics, like in Visio, Lucidchart, or Draw.io, which shows the technology. And then once it's done, we go off to a new client. So what skills do you really need? You need business skills such as CXO relevancy, sales skills, executive presence, high levels of emotional intelligence, precision communication skills. Got to have that precision communication skills. So after that, you have to have leadership skills because you're going to be managing large teams. You're going to have skills in stakeholder management. You're going to have lots of business knowledge because you can't optimize a business if you don't know business. So you're going to have to understand a lot of business. It's called business acumen. And the other thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build business cases for your clients. For example, the client comes to you and you've got an architecture which costs $500 million, which is nothing. I've worked on much bigger architectures than that. You're going to have to show the client that your solution, which costs $500 million US dollars, is going to deliver $2 and $3 million of business performance. Otherwise, they won't buy yours and they're going to spend their money on another investment. So those are the business skills. Now, the next skills that you need, you have to understand, are design skills. And what are we designing? You're designing things like networking, data center, and cloud solutions. Now, if there are 98% of organizations use more than one cloud. So it can't be your AWS skills. It can't be your Azure skills. It can't be your Google skills. It has to be your cloud skills. You have to have the wisdom to know when to not use 50% of those things that are taught in your certifications. You have the wisdom to say, look, if I need a high security environment, maybe I need to go to Palo Alto or Fortinet or Checkpoint for their firewalls. Maybe if I have a multi-cloud environment, I'm going to run Apache Cassandra versus DynamoDB in 3 clouds. Maybe instead of Amazon Kinesis, I throw that away and I swap it out for Apache Kafka. Can't use things like Elastic Compute Service because they're Amazon proprietary, but I can build my own Kubernetes cluster. When do I use a virtual machine? When do I use serverless? How do I design a secure DMZ? These are the kind of things that you need to be an architect. Now, I hope that kind of explains it to you. That's what we need. Now, I have an entire list of skills that is listed inside of that document for you. And if you come tonight, we'll tell you everything you need. But it has nothing to do with you being a fresher. I've got people with 30 years experience in engineering that come to us that we have to retrain to become an architect, because an architect and engineer is different. I have people like Daniel Bosu. You can see a video on him on our YouTube channel. He didn't graduate high school, but we sure got him a job as a cloud architect. And it has nothing to do with your engineering experience because it's a completely different job. So I kind of hope that I gave you some good insights into that. And please feel free to ask further questions on it. Regarding certifications, I want you to understand this, and this is really important. No certification will give you the upper hand, and no certification will get you hired. I'm going to say it again. It's so important. No employer cares about your certification, and they don't care about them for the following reasons. What's covered in a certification is the name of the service and how to configure that service. Guess what architects don't do? They don't configure any services. And if I went to a chief information officer and I wanted to talk to him about his EC2 instances, he'd be pushing a button, security guards would be coming and escorting me out of the room. Now, why would that occur? They would escort me out the room for the following reason. as an architect, I'm supposed to be a trusted advisor. And I'm not supposed to be a hammer in search of a nail. Here's our EC2, here's our EC2. So by using clear and precision language, we don't have mistakes. So no certifications. Now, certifications will help you get an interview. And then it's all the other training that you do outside of the interview. And you're going to need somebody to train you. Look, you can be a cloud admin on your own. You can be a cloud engineer on your own, but an architect, people need to show you how to put the pieces together. So I would say get either one of the two, either the Azure Solutions Architect Expert or the AWS Solutions Architect Professional. That is only there so you can get an interview, because employers will see that on your resume. They'll say, I like that. Let me talk to them. This person, there's a 1% chance they might know something with a certified solution architect professional. 99% of the chance they know nothing, but at least there's a 1% chance, and that gives employers hope. So certified solution architect professional from AWS or Azure Solutions Architect Expert. Either one, not both. The cloud is just a cloud. Next, I recommend the TOGAF certification. Why the TOGAF certification? Because it's an architecture certification. And it actually does architecture. If we look at the cloud providers, well-architected frameworks, they're usually much more about how to deploy the technology and about how to put the technology pieces together from one vendor. That's not reality. 98% of organizations are multi-cloud. And my goal as an architect is not the technology, it's to improve my customers' business performance. So, TOGAF, and TOGAF is well known. We're a member of the Open Group along with like 869 companies. Who else will be a member of the Open Group along with us, 869 companies? IBM, Accenture, Deloitte, KPMG, Cisco, Microsoft, even Amazon uses TOGAF. So, keep that in the back of your mind. So a cloud certification in TOGAF. And if anything, I would say a networking or data center certification. The cloud is just somebody else's network in a data center. Most people don't understand networking. So, if you want to do another one, I would say do the Cisco Certified Network Professional if you're interested in networking, or the CISSP if you're interested in security. Don't waste your time with an AWS Advanced Networking. It's not even an intro to an introduction to an intro to an intro to a junior level networking. It's just not good enough for anything. Keep that in the back of your mind. So now you go. But join us tonight. We're going to get in much more detail. Chris, we can go to the next one.
From Coyote, can you give more insight into GovCloud?
Coyote, absolutely. So one of the things you need to consider about the cloud is it's the biggest high-value target in the world. What does that mean? Hack into Azure? Guess what? Or do you mean? I'm assuming you mean GovCloud. If you mean GoCloud, let you there. But you specifically said GovCloud, so I don't know whether you need GovCloud or GoCloud. Please let us know. But GovCloud is the following. If I hack into Azure, and Azure's been hacked into multiple times, and when they accessed Azure's database, the proprietary database Cosmos, people got access to thousands of customers just by hacking into Azure. Now imagine if the US government was going to put their systems on the cloud and somebody hacked into AWS, Azure, they'll get hacked. It's just a matter of when. And so you could actually literally hack into the AWS cloud and then hack into the entire United States government. So understanding that the US government does not want to be in the same networks and data centers as the regular people. They want to be in another cloud which has greater security and less people on it, less risk for hacking. So all the GovCloud actually is this following. It's a separate cloud run by the cloud provider specifically for the US government. And it has higher security than the standard cloud. And in some cases, it's probably almost as secure as you could do in the data center if you were going to build it from scratch. And having said that, that is very, very secure. Because in the data center, we can almost always make it more secure in the cloud if we have the money, because we can hire our own security teams with whatever security we want. We can put as many layers of security. We can lock down the networks in ways you can't do in the public cloud because we know what the traffic is going to be. So that's what the GovCloud is. Love to answer more questions about it if you desire.
From Diggleman, should you send a cover letter with a cloud architect application, Mike?
Well, Diggleman, as a rule, I don't apply for jobs. I have them come to me. And that way I don't get auto-rejected by HR. I've got a team of recruiters that I would use, and I make a message, and every single time I make a LinkedIn post, 20 to 50 people try to hire me. I had to remove cloud architect literally from my title on LinkedIn for that particular reason. So now, if I was going to apply, and I recommend applying and using, and when economic times are rough like this, I would apply and use the marketing courses that we teach our students on how to get people to come to you. If I'm going to apply, I'm always going to send a cover letter. And why? I want to explain myself. My resume is a two-dimensional picture of the stuff I've done. Now, Dingleman, I want you to look at an example of the two different ways people introduce themselves. There's the dangerous way, which is, hi, I'm on LinkedIn. I've gotten laid off from my job. I have no money. Hire me, hire me, hire me. Nobody's willing to hire me. Please hire me. And Dingleman, what does that message send? It sends, I got fired or laid off because I didn't do a good job, because usually the best people don't get laid off. Then I've gone on interviews and interviews and interviews, and nobody's interested in me. It's telling the future employers that this person has no skills. So I feel sad when I see it, because I see a lot of good people. And then I see these posts that say, I'm looking for a job. Guess what, Dingleman? A third of the population is probably looking for a job. So again, that message is bad. So what goes into a cover letter, and why do you send it? The cover letter shows what you can do for them. I want to change that. You write a letter that introduces you and what you and your services can do to improve that customer's business. So yes, always. I always introduce things, because otherwise all you've got is a silly little piece of paper. And when you've got a piece of paper, it doesn't mean anything unless you can sell the paper. What does it mean? It's kind of like when I see people that have never been architects that are teaching on LinkedIn. Here's how you create a picture. And it's not how you create a picture. It's how you explain the technology to the client. And a picture might have a 100-page document that's attached to it, written by you and a team of 20 other people. So kind of keep that in the back of your minds. So yes, I always send a cover letter. I don't ever send anything without context when I don't have to. It just doesn't work the same. It would be like in my old days when I practiced medicine and the patient said, you're sick, here's your pill. What condition do I have? Here's your pill. What condition do I have? Here's your pill, take your pill. You see, that wouldn't work. But if Alonzo is my patient and Alonzo's complaining about knee pain, and Alonzo was talking about his 700-pound squats yesterday and his 600-pound deadlifts and his 100-pound dumbbell in each hand lunges, and Alonzo's built like the guy that could probably do that, you know, I'd at least have the context, hey, Alonzo, don't lift so heavy. Here's some Motrin for something like that. Alonzo, this is what I need you to do. So I always, always, always introduce concepts. Always.
It makes a lot of sense, Mike. Just like you say, can you hear me?
I can hear. Sorry, we kept speaking and our timing got off. But Alonzo, you spent 30 years in marketing. You're a chief marketing officer. This is a marketing executive question. Explain it from a marketing perspective.
Absolutely, Mike. This is just a prime example. It's much like just sliding over some certificates and saying, hire me because I took some exams and now I got a stamp of saying I'm an AWS, I'm a Microsoft Azure, I'm an Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, Google Cloud Platform, or whatever. Now I'm an expert. This certificate just showcased that you hit a certain amount of criteria to just understand some services, but do you know how these puzzle pieces come together? Do you understand that tech is just a toolbox and we're using a screwdriver, a Allen wrench, a flathead, or whatever to get and construct what they need to meet their business needs? It's the same thing with this cover letter. Now, it's great that you have these skills, but being able to drive home those specific points that you know that you have to meet specific needs that they're asking for, and being able to illustrate based off of what their company is doing, has done, and what they plan to do in the future, and how they've already been meeting business needs. And then you're being able to, in a brief summarization, talk about how you can make that happen for them on a continuous basis. It's going to say something far more pivotal and more complete than you just sending it out for the ATS to ultimately shoot it down anyway. So let them know who you are. Let them know how you can get it done, and being able to custom make this cover letter to talk to them in the way that they understand.
So exactly how I feel, Dingleman. Opportunity to sell yourself. Take every opportunity you can. Please ask us your questions so we can assist you. Chris, feel free to bring in the next question. or Tyrone, whoever's back there.
From Akash. Can I do AWS certification after my graduation as a fresher?
Akash, you could do an AWS certification when you're 10 years old. And I know other 11 and 12-year-olds who have done a certification. You can do a certification without going to college. I'd say 30% of the cloud architects that are working out there never went to college in the first place. They have architecture skills. So sure, you can do a certification. Just understand that the college and the certification will not prepare you for any job. You need to know exactly what the job is and get the skills. Now, if you tell me which career you're interested, I can tell you the skills per your career. But understand this. The AWS Certified Solutions Architect Professional is 3 to 5% of the skills necessary for a career. 3 to 5%. But the other 95 to 97% of those, or 95 to 98% of those skills, now 95 to 97% of those skills are actually different skills than are covered in certification. So of course you can do a certification. You don't even need to graduate junior high school to do a certification. I have a friend, I think his 8-year-old son passed the AWS Solutions Architect Associate. It's nothing. Of course you can do it as a fresher, as a high school. Now, Akash, I also worked with people on harder certifications like the Cisco Certified Network Professional. Certifications which actually have a lot more skills in them than the AWS ones. In fact, I worked with this kid, Mitchell. He was a really impressive kid. You know, around the time he was 16 years old, we got him CCNA certified. He used to come to my house and I used to tutor him. By the time, there were 4 certification exams for the CCNP after that. Every summer break, we did one. He graduated college. In addition to the CCNA and the CCNP, which he did while he was in college, he and I spent about 50 to 100 hours together doing real network engineering things. And he was hired by one of the largest internet service providers directly out of school. The rest of his people, which had degrees in computer engineering, none of them got hired. There were only 2 out of his class that got hired because we were in the middle of a recession that year. It was 2008. And while others were getting off, my Mitchell got hired. And he sat in that job for 6 months. And then he got hired by Cisco and he moved into an incredible architect role. So the answer is you're never too early to start. Start now, start young. But don't just focus on certification, focus on your big high value skills, the skills that actually matter. And if you tell us the career you want, then we're in a position to tell you which skills. For an example, an architect doesn't code and doesn't need to code, but an engineer sure does. An architect will never configure or touch the technology in their life other than writing documents and making Excel spreadsheets and PowerPoint presentations. But an engineer will be on that console all day long, on that command line, on Terraform, dealing with DevOps and all those other things. But architects won't. So every one of these careers is very different. And what you really need to understand is what is the main career that you're actually applying for, and then getting the right skills for that. And certifications are almost never the right skills. Do I like certifications? Sure, I love them. Get a certification, make it easier to get an interview. Great. It has value there. Where people go wrong with certification is they get 10 of them. And the key is all these certifications aren't even fresher level skills. They're just junior stuff. And by doing so, these people split their effort. They learn introductory level stuff, introductory level stuff, introductory level stuff. And it's like going to kindergarten 20 times. No matter how many times somebody goes to kindergarten, nobody considers them a doctor. So that's the thing. Sure, do the certification. Use it to build your brand, but don't overdo the certification. And you should be good to go. If you've got a question for us, let us know. If not, my team is pretty busy, and we'll go back to working because my team, believe me, has a ton of work today. But if you've got questions, please ask us. Coyote, we are more than happy to break it down for you. I want everybody out there that wants a great cloud job to get one. I want everybody out there that's tired of working as an engineer and getting paid half of what they could to know how to increase their earnings. And I've helped lots of people negotiate $100,000 raises. This year, I helped a person go from $151,000 job to $409,000. And it's all by showing people the stuff that the employers want versus the stuff that they want. And that's the key. So my team is highly busy. We're here to help you. If you've got questions for us, ask us. And we'll stick around and help you. But otherwise, my team is going to go back to the office. And while we wait for that next question, to let everybody know, currently we are on Cyber Monday, so we're going to celebrating with the entire Cyber Week sale. That's 40% off of everything that we have. And we almost never do 40% off, and it's never on everything that we have. It's going to be limited. But right now, it's on everything. Tonight, we have a completely free webinar on how to get your first cloud architect job. Please sign up for it. And if you've got questions, let us know. I mean, okay, let's get that question from Coyote. Let's give him some help.
From Coyote, transitioning from business into tech and trying to get the right skills, not just cloud certified, but hired.
Good. So that's really the secret. The right skills are leadership skills, sales skills, executive communication skills, presentation skills, ROI modeling, building a business case, leading large teams. They're the business skills. The technical skills are network, data center, and cloud skills. And here's where most people don't understand, Coyote. All cloud computing is renting space in somebody else's network and data center. That's all it is. And the reason people get so harmed by just learning cloud certifications is they're told, here's what the tech is. In fact, Coyote, I actually interviewed 1,000 AWS certified people and asked them, what is cloud computing? What if I told you not a single one even knew? Now, they knew the name of S3 and how to set up S3, but none of them knew how object storage worked, the limitations of object storage, its strengths and weaknesses of object storage, how to architect with object storage. What would you do to distribute software? What would you do in a big data? What is it about the metadata in object storage that enables big data to work? Why can't object storage be mounted by a server? See, that's what you need to know as an architect, not how to configure it, because we don't do it. By Coyote, what job are you really looking for? Because I want to give you the correct set of skills. And we actually got a Coyote, one of our students who was really great. He's now working at AWS after we trained him. Really great guy. But the point is I want to know which one. Because cloud engineering has one set of skills. Cloud architecture has a different set of skills. Cloud architecture could pay you $500,000 with 5 years experience as a principal architect. Cloud engineering, you can max out at 150 after 5 or 10 years. So, but the jobs are different. And you have to do the job that's going to make you happy. And all of those things are very different. Kind of keep that in the back of your mind. Let us know your job you want, and then I can give you a list of every skill you need. Solutions architect. Well, there you go. We've got the business skills. Then you need the design skills. The design skills are going to be coming from security. So they're about next generation firewalls and VPN concentrators, intrusion detection prevention systems, SIEM systems, data loss prevention strategies. And don't worry, we teach every one of those. And for our students, it's very simple. But it's also wide area networking technology to connect to the cloud, whether it be a VPN or a private line or software-defined networking or SASE. And then it's all the compute systems that we have on the cloud, which guess what? They're identical to the stuff we use in the data center, virtual machines and containers. And then we deal with storage, right? In the data center or the cloud. It's the same block storage, object storage, file storage. So it's there. So it's really the same thing. And then it's just which business applications. And our job is to be like a master chef. Why do I say a master chef? Well, my mother-in-law is a master chef. My family owned a Greek restaurant. Now, if I ask my mother-in-law if some fresh watermelon comes out, she's going to say, okay, we have to use this version of Dildoni feta cheese because it pairs very well with this watermelon. Sounds funny, but it's quite delicious. And then she'd say, oh, this fish that I'm going to cook for you requires this Retsina wine versus a Merlot because they pair together. And that's what a master chef does. And that's what an architect does. They put the pieces together in a manner that's going to work right for the business. So join us tonight. Join us on our free webinar. I want to meet you. We can have a face-to-face conversation. I can assess your business skills and give you some gaps too if you want. And it's all free. So join us tonight. I just want to get you to your goals, Coyote. And I'm glad that you're asking questions. And don't be shy. Don't be shy.
This is from Helen Nidau. What TOGAF certification is required? Which is more important, AWS certs or TOGAF?
Well, which TOGAF? There's a TOGAF architect certification. That's the one. Now, when someone tells me they have 5 AWS certifications, I say, I don't want to talk to you. And they say, huh? I don't hire anybody that has more than 3 AWS certifications. Quite frankly, the AWS certifications are some of the worst technology certifications I've ever seen in my entire life. And here's the reason. Because you can go to any one of 15 sites and buy a copy of the exam and get the exact questions, everybody passes the AWS exams for the most part. They're too easy. They're hard because the vocabulary is wrong, but they don't assess your competency on anything. The second thing is they periodically do these free second takes. And why do they do that? To make sure everybody can graduate. And why would a company like AWS try to make sure there's millions of AWS certified people out there? Well, the following. If everybody has a certification, it means their skills aren't rare, which means they can afford to pay them less. And they can drive down the salary of the AWS people if everybody's got the same certifications. Because in life, we have supply and demand curves. The greater the demand, the less the supply, the more something's worth. So realistically speaking, AWS certifications mean nothing to me when I see them on a resume. Nothing. Now, the Cisco Certified Internet Expert means something to me. And here's the reason why. You can't buy that exam out there. Now, I spent $40,000 on my Cisco Certified Internet Expert, but that was a long time ago. And why was it so expensive? Because every weekend I had to spend $400 renting a rack, and I had to do it for 9 months straight. Now that was you can imagine that, $1,600 a month. I also took multiple boot camps to get through it, and I also read 75,000 pages of reading to see the CCIE. So Helen, to put it into context, my CCIE number is 7417, and I did that in 2000. Since then, the numbers are up to say 65 or 70,000. So that means in the last 23 years, they've only certified 50,000 people since me. Now, 150 people take the exam every day, approximately, which is 4,500 a month, which is basically 55,000 people taking it per year and only 3,000 pass. And when an employer sees a CCIE on your resume, like, oh, this person probably knows. So again, one AWS certification, the Certified Solutions Architect Professional, it's meaningless from a skills perspective. It's meaningless from a knowledge perspective to me. When I ask employers, what do you think of the AWS certification? And here's what they say. Mike, if we're talking about somebody that's done the job for 20 years and then they get a certification, I'm in. Yeah. But if they're talking about somebody that's a newbie, they need to be trained. Now, TOGAF it doesn't teach you how to be an architect, but it teaches the architect how to do things. Look at the vision first. Look at the business second. Look at the data third. Look at the technology fourth. Start thinking about now what the design's going to look like. Now think about who need to govern the design, which stakeholders need to be managed, how upgrades and changes are going to occur. So the TOGAF is like a playbook for the architect. Do this first, do this second, do this third. So TOGAF is meaningful to me in the way any certification is meaning. Like, it helps a little. Like if I see somebody took the time to do the TOGAF and they've done it and they've spent, the $1,500 or so to do it, I'm going to say at least this person was willing to put a little effort, a little money, and a little love and care into their career. I want to talk to. Now, Helen, when I interview them afterwards, if they're good, I'll hire them. If they're not, I won't. Because I don't hire people based on certifications. Now, I will tell you, I've done 6,000 interviews. Of the CCIEs I've interviewed, 90% were able to do the job. Of the AWS certified people that I've interviewed, I interviewed 1,000 AWS certified people, and I asked them basic questions like, what is cloud computing? None of them knew. I actually asked them what an EC2 instance was. And they all gave me some fluff answer, which meant they didn't know what it was. I asked them, what is a virtual machine and how does it work? And none of them could answer. And I went, And I said, explain to me block storage. And the only thing they could say is, it's elastic and it's fast. And I said, actually, block storage is quite slow. They didn't know. I asked them how to secure stuff. They said, WAF, shield, and a knuckle. I'm like, that's not security. So that's the key. Certification like this is just designed to get people excited about the tech. Oh, I need AWS, or I need Azure, or I need Google. It doesn't teach you any skills. Now, it does teach you low-level junior administration skills, the name of a service and how to configure that. And if somebody's whole job was just to be an admin, and I was going to say to them, look, Alonzo, I need your 500-person admin team to go set up these things, click, 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 and click on boxes. Then they would be doing what's in the certification team. But here's the thing, Helen. I don't need a 500-person team anymore. I can hire one DevOps engineer and they can write a Terraform script, which is also not taught in the AWS certification. And they can deploy thousands of virtual machines in seconds with the script. They can even use artificial intelligence to write the script and then tune and edit the script if they want, further speeding it up. So, you know, Helen, in life, I like to say there's high-value skills and there's low-value skills. Now, one skill is not more important than the other. A high-value skill is the ability to be a strategist and advise an organization on how to improve their business performance with technology. That's a skill that'll get you paid. Likewise, mopping floors is also a skill. And it's an important skill. Dirty floors, people get sick, right? But employers won't pay for it because there's lots of people that can clean the floor. So, you know, you might have somebody earning $20 an hour cleaning the floors and $200 an hour as a good technology architect, an IT architect, network architect, enterprise architect. So I hope I answered your question there. I really want to assist you.
From Akash, do architects need to configure and deploy services, Mike?
Akash, architects are not allowed to configure services. If you work at AWS or Azure or Cisco or IBM or KPMG or Accenture or Capgemini and you touch the technology and it's your clients, you'll be fired on the spot. We design, present, and sell technology solutions. Now, you will see some things where they include building, but they're only engineering jobs regardless of the job title. Architects don't touch the technology. And it's very important to understand why. Once your focus goes on tech and you're focusing on the tech, all you can see is the tech. You don't see how the organization sells and makes money. You can't look at what you can't look at their workflow problems. You can't do anything. You're busy focused on the tech. And that's why typically what'll happen is you'll have the people in one part of the world, like the US or the UK or Canada, design the systems. And then the people in, say, India or Pakistan or other countries where their lower cost of living will actually be here. But this is really important. Chris or Tyrone, whoever's behind the scenes, I'd like you to share this photo. And let's take Akash's thing down real quick, so the banner, so we can see what's actually here. So Akash, what you can see here is a photo that I took in my backyard. It's an iPhone photo. I actually am a fairly good photographer, but in this case, I just use my iPhone. And I love photography. And here you can see a squirrel, right? Squirrel looks happy. Squirrel is living in the grass. It looks good. And this is what happens the second you become an engineer and you focus on configuring the technology. You see what's in front of you. Now, the architect needs to be focused on the entire business. And when you're focused on the entire business, you can see different things. So all you saw before was, quite frankly, the squirrel. It was a cute squirrel. It was in my backyard, nice green grass. Well, I don't have a great lawn, but at least the grass looked green this day. But now, Chris or Tyrone, I want you to share this. This is what was really happening on the backyard. My cat, Cindy, that cute little thing with the pointy little ears and the tail, she was thinking about how to turn that squirrel into dinner. And that's why doctors don't do nurses' jobs. Airplane pilots fly the plane and don't hand the patients, drinks and make sure their people are in the seatbelts. And that's why architects can't configure. Because the second you take your hands away from the business, start focusing on that tech, you're done. And Akash, let me tell you that more than 50% of all cloud projects actually fail. What do I mean by fail? It means that people spend millions and millions and hundreds of millions or billions of dollars to move to the cloud, and they get no value, no return, no nothing out of it. And that's because people are busy focusing on the tech and not the business. The business drives the tech. My cat Cindy wags her tail. Her tail doesn't wag Cindy back and forth. And that's kind of the key. Hope I answered your question.
From Emperor Kiro, what is your opinion on someone trying to gain a foundation of certifications to get into the tech industry? Or should my focus be more business since I'm trying to become an architect?
Emperor Kiro, I'm going to make it very clear to you. Once somebody has more than 3 certifications, I won't even interview them for a position. Why? Because you learn nothing in certifications other than what the vendor wants you to know and nothing of value for me as an employer who actually cares. I want you to get a foundation of knowledge and not certifications. No employer cares about your certifications. None, zero. Me then, deep with the Zaba, whichever terms you want for zero. They don't care. The people selling the certifications care, but the employers don't care. So I need you to get a focus of skills. Like I said, I've interviewed 1,000 AWS certified people and none of them had any skills. None, zero. I couldn't hire them. But you know what? Delroy Batt had no cloud certifications. We taught him. He had his skills and he got himself a cloud security architect job. Robert Welch, we had him. He was focused on skills and business and leadership. And guess what? We got him hired with a cloud practitioner. The only certification he had. Jeffrey West is another student of ours, got hired by Kalian as a cloud architect, solution architect. He had a cloud practitioner. Nobody cares about certifications. They care about skills. So I want you to get the right skills. This is what people need to understand, Emperor Kiro. You can get hired with 0 certifications if you've got the right skills. But you can have 1,000 certifications and not have the skills and nobody's going to hire you. So you have to make a decision. Step 1, get the skills. Then polish your resume. So maybe this will make sense. Let's say you had a car that didn't work. You couldn't drive it. You turned the key, the engine didn't go on. But it had a beautiful paint job on the outside, but it was missing an engine, it was missing a transmission, and it had nothing on there other than a paint job. That's what certified people look to us. They look like an empty box with beautiful wrapping paper and a bow inside. I don't pay for empty boxes, I'm sorry. Now, if you gave me that same car, but in this case, it had a good engine, it had a good transmission, and it had a little rough paint job, I'd still buy the car and I'd paint it. And I'd get a great car. And that's the key. We need substance. Substance is the ability to do the job, competence. What employers care about, Emperor Kira? I'll tell you right now. First thing, and I've asked thousands of them, I want somebody that can do the job. The next thing employers tell us they want is someone they can trust. What 90% of the people do, they make a fake resume and they bluff or lie on an interview. None of them get hired. So first, someone they can trust and someone that can do the job. Next, what employers want to know? Someone that knows what they know and knows what they don't know. Again, you're not going to learn that in a certification. Next, they care if you can communicate well. Why do they care so much about communication skills? Well, Alonzo and I are like brothers. We talk to each other. We understand each other. But if Alonzo and I grunted instead of talking to each other, somewhere along the line, he and I are going to get angry with each other because we don't even know why, but we're going to have a miscommunication, I promise you. And that's not how I want one of my best friends to actually behave. I love the guy. We communicate, we talk, we're like brothers, and that's the way I need it to be. So, communication skills. And otherwise, people will kill each other without it. So communication matters. Now, next, energy, enthusiasm, and passion for the work. That's what employers care about because most people are busy taking selfies, setting their cameras off in a meeting, so the manager doesn't feel connected with them. So think about that. What else do employers want? Someone that's willing to go above and beyond. I know, and I don't ask them, and I don't make crazy asks of them. But if I asked Alonzo and said, Alonzo, I need you to fly to my house in Florida, and we're going to lock ourselves in a room for the next week. He'd find a babysitter for his kids. He'd apologize to his wife, and he'd come over. That's above and beyond. And that means everything. Have I ever asked Alonzo to do that? No. Will I ever ask Alonzo to do that? Probably never. But knowing that I have that ability, that he's there for me when I need him, means everything to me, even if I never ask. And lastly, I want people that are good team players. There's an African proverb which is so near and dear to my heart. It says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. Nothing great is built by one person. So I need people with team building and teamwork skills. These are the skills that I'm actually looking for and when I hire people. So those are the skills. I don't care if you've got 10 certifications. Meaningless to me. No, there are certain certifications that I respect. The CCIE, I think, is a good certification because you have to know something to pass that. It'll also cost you at least $15,000 to do it. And you probably have to read 50,000 pages. I read 75,000 pages, but the exams changed over the years. So there's that. In order to pass that, you've got skills. I also respect the CISSP. It's a relatively easy security certification, and easy meaning there's no lab, but Easy as in it's 1,000 times harder than an AWS Advanced Security, and you'll actually learn something in it. So I respect that one. And the TOGAF is a great methodology, and I kind of like that. And honestly, they're the 3 certifications that I care about. I don't care about any more of them. And most of the employers that I know don't care about too many of them either. And I've asked thousands. So if you've got some questions, ask us. Otherwise, Alonzo and I, we've got some marketing things to do. I've got some press events that I've got to prepare for. So ask your questions if you have them now. And if not, my day just got a little bit easier. So as a reminder, we have 40% off of all of our products right now through this week for Cyber Monday. Tonight at 6 p.m., we have a How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job webinar. On that, we'll present for 30 minutes. We'll stick around for an hour and a half answering any question you have to make sure you can build an elite career. We'll go over every single skill that you need as a cloud architect. I will build you a complete list of everything. We can answer Peter's questions. Peter, I want you to join us tonight. How do we help people get jobs? Well, quite simply. 90% of the people that actually more than that, more than 90% of the people I've interviewed in my career, which is thousands and thousands upon thousands, either have the wrong skills or no skills when they apply for jobs. So we give people all of the skills. But being able to do the job is still not enough to get hired if nobody responds to you. We teach you how to build the brand and to make employers come to you so that you don't get auto-rejected by human resources. We teach you how to build the right resume to guide, not only get the interview, but no, don't set yourself up for failure in the interview, because in the interview, people ask you what's on your resume. And if you put the wrong stuff to get an interview, the interview's over and you won't be successful. We teach you how to do the interview and how to interview in a way to show hiring managers that they need you. We even teach you how to negotiate a higher salary. But of course, we train you the right skills. Where everybody else focuses on these little certification skills, we focus on the career and the career optimization. And the reality is, because we have so many people working at Apple, Amazon, AWS, Cisco, IBM, Google, Accenture, Deloitte, KPMG, Capgemini, and because hundreds of magazines have written about me and the work we do, and because we're ranked #1 in online schools of cloud computing by Stellar Business, people just come to our students because they're part of us. Because they know when everybody else gets a silly 20-hour certification, we give people a 700-hour training program, and nobody leaves our program without being awesome. So that's what we have. But join us tonight at 6 p.m. and we'll go over it. We'll go through the step-by-step, and we can interview you along the way. So I hope you all had some fun this afternoon. Hope you guys asked some questions. Hopefully you guys learned something. Hopefully we dispelled some myths versus skills versus certifications, because we want you to build a great career. And I hope you join us tonight on the How to Get Your First Cloud Architect webinar. It's on 3 hours from now at 6 p.m. Eastern. And please get that completely free How to Get Your First Cloud Architect Job book. And you know what? Read the book and still join us tonight and be prepared to make an incredible learning session for you. Have a wonderful day, everyone, and I'll see many of you tonight. Take care.
Take care, everyone. See you.